Shalom, shalom, Yasharala. It's your brother Mashayak coming at y'all with an edifying quick video through the power and spirit of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rakakwadash. So I want to go into this breaking news article that came out yesterday. It says leading epidemiologists warn that next pandemic will kill more than 7 million Americans like a biological bomb. God damn. And through the spirit, we already know that 7 goes into a number of completion. So I already got precepts pulled up and I typed in the chat GPT if 7, what was the spiritual significance of the number 7. So I got that pulled up and a couple of precepts. I'm going to read through this article. It says, even as the world still reels from the devastation of COVID-19, leading epidemiologists warn that the next global pandemic could be far worse. In the big one, how we must prepare for future deadly pandemics. 2025, Michael Osterholm and Mark Alshaker lay out a compelling and chilling case that a far more virulent airborne pathogen could spring up and overwhelm modern societies. It says the next pandemic will begin with the death of a single baby in Africa and go on to kill more than 7 million Americans with 20 times more fatalities worldwide. That's the chilling conclusion of a thought experiment carried out by leading U.S. epidemiologist Michael T. Osterholm, founding director of the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy, CIDRAP, argues that the next pandemic may combine deadly lethality with COVID-level transmissibility. He refers to such a hypothetical virus as SARS-3, while SARS and MERS, earlier coronaviruses, had extremely high fatality rates on the order of 15-35%. They lacked the ability to spread broadly before symptoms appeared. It says COVID-19, meanwhile, spread rapidly across the globe, in part because infected individuals often transmitted the virus while asymptomatic. Osterholm warns that if a virus emerges combining both traits, high contagiousness and high fatality, the consequences could be catastrophic. It says influenza remains another plausible route for pandemic emergence, though the U.S. has not experienced a major flu pandemic in recent generations akin to the 1918 Spanish flu. The authors underscore that flu strains continue to evolve. A future influenza virus with the right traits of transmissibility and virulence could inflict damage on par with or exceeding the worst of history. I ain't gonna read this whole article. I'll read this one. It says, in past outbreaks, he laments that authorities often treated a pandemic like a passing storm, one that will blow through in days or weeks rather than a long-term struggle. As a result, strategic lockdowns were sometimes implemented hastily without clear exit plans or metrics for escalation and easing. Osterholm also calls upon citizens to become more engaged in public health. While individuals cannot create vaccines, they can demand policy accountability, support trusted local outreach efforts, and hold elected leaders to task. He envisions the emergence of citizen watch groups to ensure pandemic preparedness remains a constant.
Connected.
Salakia, a constant priority. Man, I cannot stand English, man. I cannot wait until the whole earth is speaking the Lashawan Quadash, the Paleo Hebrew, because it just flows. English is just all over the place. But Psalm chapter 91 verse 7 says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. And 2nd Ezra chapter 15 verse 49 says, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And I looked up the significance of the number 7 spiritually. And it says, yes, in many traditions, especially biblical and spiritual ones, the number 7 is often seen as a number of completion, perfection, or fullness. Biblically, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. Genesis chapter 2, verse 2 to 3. That 7th day, the Sabbath, represented the completion of creation. The Bible repeatedly uses 7 to signify wholeness or divine perfection. For example, 7 days in a week, 7 churches: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia. The 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, the 7 spirits of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, etc. in Revelation. Symbolically, 7 combines 3 divine number and 4 earthly number, together representing heaven and earth in harmony, or divine completion in creation. Culturally, many ancient and modern traditions, so-called Jewish, Christian, and even non-religious, associate 7 with luck, balance, and spiritual fulfillment. So yes, 7 is widely recognized as the number of completion or divine perfection. And with that, Yasharallah, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Ruach HaKodesh. I pray y'all were edified. With that, Shalom.